Hey, Chris at Gadgets and Gravel. Got a new video here on another robot lawnmower. This one does something that I've never seen any other robot lawnmower do that I've tested. And it's coming from a company that's well known for making some of the best robot vacuum cleaners you can use. So let's see what makes this thing stand out and so different than others and if it's good enough for your yard. So what we have here is the Eufy E15 robotic lawnmower. So Eufy, I've covered them before in both a smart deadbolt for your front door that uses palm recognition to unlock it, a robot vacuum cleaner with a carpet spot cleaner built into it. This is their first foray into robot lawnmowers, and it's a unique device for a few reasons. I like the style of it. It's got some cool features. It's easy to move around, doesn't mow a huge area. But this is going to be a robot lawnmower that I think is going to help a lot of people who especially live in town, more rural, or not rural areas, more urban areas. And this is going to be perfect for a lot of people. So let's kind of get into some of the basics of what this mower can do from its the technology side, the design, and some things I think get a little bit better with it. So at the start here, we've got a pretty unique looking device, I guess. My first impression was kind of bland. It's kind of boring and generic looking, but the more I've used it, I really don't mind it. Like, it's a lawnmower, I don't need to look anything crazy, but it's pretty unique. It does a good job getting into some areas because of its shape, but I think one of the smartest things, the things I like the most, is this handle on the back. Like, it is a sturdy handle right up on top. A lot of other mowers I've used, you have to reach underneath to get to the handle, and you know, aside from being dirty, you know, you should be away from any blades, nothing's running, but just that added feature of not having to reach underneath the mower is kind of nice. But from a basic standpoint, it's kind of a little droid looking robot that goes around the yard. So like I said, this is the E15 model. They do have an E18. The only difference between the two is the E15 is rated at 0.2 acres and the E18 is rated at 0.3 acres. So that's your difference in the model though. From the design, they're the same. Up top, you've got a gauge up here that has 5 bars that shows you how much battery you have left. You've got 4 buttons. You got a play, pause, whatever the task is. It's got a home button to send it back to the charger. You got a check mark, which is okay to confirm whatever you're putting in. If you're telling it to go home, you hit the home and hit check. You got a power button. Those are your 4 buttons up top. You got a big stop button to end all operations and get it to shut down immediately. And then you've got a rain sensor up here because if it gets moisture on it, it won't mow in the rain. That's a good thing. Mowing in the rain can damage your lawn. A few different ways aside from kind of putting ruts in it from the tires and just walking across it a lot. Putting wet grass down, it isn't going to cut as easy, and it's going to trap moisture underneath it. And on one hand, it may sound like a good thing, but with too much moisture trapped underneath and it's hot, cold, you change the temperature of the bunch, a lot of moisture, you run the risk of getting mold in your yard and it can damage your grass. So having this rain sensor keeps it from doing that and make sure it only mows when it's the best time to do it. Up front, you got their camera system here. We'll cover a little more on that on the technology side of things and the setup process, but you got a whole set of cameras and sensors up front. You got the charging contacts, so when it rolls into its dock, it's got 2 metal prongs that come up here and contact the metal contacts inside of here, and that's how it gets charged. You've got 2 big wheels in the back that are your drive wheels, and you got 1 spinny wheel up front, sorry, that is this for directional. On the underside, we've got the cutting disc. We've got 3 blades on here. They are basically a modified razor blade you'd find in a box cutter or your utility knife or something like that. It's got a hole in the back with a screw with a gap that allows it to spin around. While this is going to cut tall grass, it's not designed to. The point of these mowers is once you get it to height, it'll go ahead and continue cutting just small bits off as you mow frequently for micro clippings, and it helps actually feed your lawn. So the design of this may seem kind of weak, but it's actually pretty common and it's there for a reason. So the good thing when these blades hit something, they actually kind of spin around and get out of the way rather than breaking the blade, the machine, or damaging what it may run into. Outside of that, it's a pretty standard lawnmower as far as design with no crazy features on this standpoint. A lot of the intelligence really comes into when we get into the software and the mowing process itself. So let's dive into that. Setup process for this is where it really stands out for me. Kind of a double-edged sword, and I'll get into why I'm not a big fan of one small part of the setup process. But this is a boundary-free robot lawnmower. So it means you don't have to put a wire in the ground. A lot of newer style mowers are going that way, and it's so much easier to manage and operate, and you get a lot more features with it too. But what a lot of other mowers do that don't require boundary wires, they've got what's called an RTK tower, which is for helping communication and location of the device within your yard and the parameters you set. So you have the mower, the dock, and then you got an extra pole you set up beside it that helps that process. This mower doesn't need wire or an RTK tower. This one does all of its mapping through cameras and sensors on the front, which is where a lot of the expertise that a company like Eufy, who's done years of testing and training and development for robot vacuums in your home, comes into play, is with using that technology and putting it into a lawnmower. So when you set this up, you don't even have to drive this around your lawn to map it. In fact, you can't. There's not even an option to manually map your yard. What you do is you get this set up, get it added to your account, and you tell it to go. It will go out and drive around your yard and map it itself. It is able to detect, objects, whether that be a tree or a bush, the edge of a driveway, a sidewalk. It detects all that and then creates a map of where it can mow. That's great. And it's also not so great. I'll get into that later in the videos, things that I think can be improved. But that's the setup process. You literally add this to your account, plug it up, get it put in the ground, follow the instructions on getting it, how to set it up in your yard, and then you tell it to go and it maps the whole thing for you. When it's done, you are able to split your map. There's what you can create zones. So you can divide it up into sections and only mow certain areas at certain times, whether that's because you're putting it on a schedule. Sorry, Atlas decided to come running over and I thought he was gonna tackle me. Whether that is setting it on a schedule or you're manually gonna tell it to just go mow, you're gonna mow the area beside your house today and you're gonna mow in front of the house tomorrow. So that's kind of nice. You can divide it up and get some control over it that way. But that is the setup process. It's pretty simple. Plug it in, set it up, tell it to map, and it does it on its own. Once it's done creating the map, you can go in and create no-go zones, so areas that you don't want it to mow into. I've got a wire going across my yard right now for testing another device, and I don't want it to mow across that. So I just draw a no-go zone across the top of it and it leaves it alone. So it's really cool. You can set that, you can create pathways, you can set areas that you want to make sure it does go into. That's the kind of setup process. Once you have all that kind of managed and how you want that to go, you are able to adjust the blade speed. You can adjust the blade height. It cuts up to 70 millimeters, which is gonna be just a little over 3 inches. I would like it to cut a little higher, but again, I'll cover more of that later in the video. But outside of that, that's the setup process. It's a relatively easy device to use. Let's get into what it's like when it actually mows. When the Eufy E15 is mowing, it does a great job. I am really impressed with how well it does as far as getting an even mowing path. It does a good job of getting across an entire area. One thing I really like about a lot of these lawnmowers, these robot lawnmowers, is they're small, which means they're not gonna cut a lot of grass quickly. Same time, I don't care, I'm not mowing it. But the benefit of it being small is it's able to kind of get down into some of the valleys. If you don't have a very even lawn, and I very much don't, it gets into some of those lower areas and higher areas, and so it gets an even more even cut. Whereas when I'm on a normal riding lawnmower, pushing lawnmower, sometimes it's such a wide base, I'll end up getting lower on some areas that I cross over a hill or something. And with something like this, it generally doesn't. It does a good job of avoiding that and getting a good even cut. The Eufy E15 does a great job of that. It's quiet, it's quick, it mows evenly. The camera system on front. So I got talked about, this is a really, really impressive system up front. It uses that for not only for navigating around your lawn and seeing where different things are as far as sidewalk and driveway goes, but it's also using sensors to watch out for trees, pets, people. It does have a manual mode, so you can actually use these cameras and from your phone watch how your mowing is going. So you can actually look at the camera through the mower and look at your lawn and actually mow it remotely. If you are in that mode though, the sensors will not keep it from running into you. It will go ahead and run right into whatever you're driving over. So those sensors, the avoidance sensors, don't work during that time. So that's a downside. However, the obstacle avoidance and recognition when it's in automatic mode, mowing by itself, is very good. It does a good job. It notices it a good 12 to 6 inches before it hits it, stops, redirects, and takes off the other direction. So it's good about doing that. The other thing I really like about this is because of the system, each time it mows, it updates its map. It saves a new map every time. So if I decided to plant a rose bush right here. I don't have to remap the whole yard. It will recognize that's there and then go ahead and put that into consideration. And it'll even recommend putting a no-go zone in there. So it's got some cool features like that in the app where it'll recommend no-go zones or areas to mow or things like that. So it's kind of handy. So you don't have to redo it yourself, or it can give you areas that it says, hey, this is typically a problem area, maybe we should just map it off. It has added the ability in an update to mow edges. So it'll go up along the sidewalk. Typically, robot lawnmowers are only able to get so close to an object or something like that because the mow deck's inside. You got space on the sides for protection and safety and things like that. So it means it's not gonna get up against areas. This will now ride up along, you can tell to avoid tall grass on edges, and it'll actually get up on the edge of my sidewalk and drive along the edge and cut it. It's been hit or miss. It's better than not having it. Sometimes it does a good job, sometimes not so much, but either way, outside of that, the mowing performance, this is really good. It does a good job. It mows it quickly. It will not mow at night. There's no sensors to allow it to do that, no light or anything like that allows it to see at night. So when it gets to be evening time, it'll automatically park itself and get ready to go the next day. But mowing, it's quick, it's quiet, does a good job. If you have the yard that fits it, as I said, this is only rated at 0.2 acres or 0.3 if you get the E18 model. Outside of that, that's what we got. Let's talk about some things I think could be better though. For as good as a mower as this is and the intelligence it has, it does a really good job. But there is really one thing that I really don't like about this mower. And it's less the mower and it's more the software, and I hope that is going to come in an update. I have talked to Eufy, which they did send this to me for testing. However, they're getting no feedback on this at all ahead of time or seeing this ahead of you. But I have reached out to Eufy regarding the ability to manually map or to manually correct a map. I've got a large yard that is too big for this mower to mow for its current rated ability. So because it will only mow what it maps on its own, if I have a large area that's larger than it is rated to map and it's just an open yard, I can't tell it not to go to certain areas. I can't have it mow just, say the left side of my yard and ignore the right. So I can't draw that map myself or adjust any of the boundaries. So that is one area, while I love that it will go do it by itself, and for some yards that's gonna be perfect. If your yard is bigger than this, can mow, or its rated abilities, you can't change that, you can't adjust it, whether it's at the maximum or the minimum, somewhere in between, you can't change it. You're allowed to make zones of where it mows and doesn't mow. But when I did some testing, I was initially setting this up, the area I had it mowing was larger than it was rated to, and it was gonna miss a large chunk of my yard, and it was gonna mow some weird areas, and it was gonna be irregular, and I didn't like it, but I couldn't change it. So that is one big update I would love to see come to this. I would like the detection sensors to work or have some adjustment level to it. So when it is mowing, when you're doing it manually using the controller for your phone, I would like it to have the sensors active then, whether you can adjust the sensitivity of how quickly it will notice something or react to it or something like that. I'd like to have those active because if you're driving it remotely, you should be able to see it when you're doing it. But depth perception can be a thing. You might hit a tree or something like that and not want to. So outside of that, that's really my only issues with it, is the ability to adjust the map myself or manually map, and then to enable those sensors while it is in manual mode. But otherwise, I don't have too many complaints. Wrapping up, the Eufy E15 robotic lawnmower. It's a great lawnmower. It does a good job. It's quick, it's quiet, it mows evenly, it's smart to avoid obstacles and to create its own maps and things like that. Software is not quite there to where you can manually adjust it yet. Outside of that, I really don't have any other complaints. I would like it to maybe cut a little bit higher. I didn't mention that in the last section, but 70 millimeters is gonna be a little short depending on your yard type, the area you live in, how much you water your lawn. So if you're cutting it super short, or if you're maxed out at this and you're cutting at 3 inches and you're not getting much rain, or you're at 2 inches, you're not getting much rain, and it's hot out, you might want to make sure you're watering frequently to kind of help offset being cut too short and avoid some burnout of your yard. But otherwise, it's a great mower. Pricing is a little high, I think, though. At its rated ability at 0.2 acres, it's coming in at around $1,800, full price, I believe. I think that's a little high for the ability the area it's mowing. While it is a super intelligent mower, I think that price may be a little aggressive. But maybe we'll see some adjustments as the technology improves and there's some changes in production. So outside of that, Eufy E15 mower, definitely check it out. If you've got a lawn and you want to be completely hands-free across the entire system, definitely check this out. I'll have the link down below and hope to see you in the next video.